Alright, we're going to talk about finding percentages. However, we're going to use landmark percentages to help us out. And the landmark percentages are very simple. You first think of a dollar, then all the quarters, so 75%, 50%, and 25%. And then you think of the dimes, the nickels, and the pennies. So let's start with 100%. And you'll always find the landmark percentages of the total. And the total will always come after the word of in the question. Alright, so we have 100%, 75%, 50%, 25%, 10%, that's the dime, the nickel 5%, and 1%, even though the nickel is not 5%. Alright, so we're finding what is 30% of 40. So the total here is 40. So I'm going to find all the landmark percentages of my total, 40. Alright, 100% we know is 40. Let's go to 50%. 50% is just the total divided by 2. So that's 20. Now 25% is half of 50%. So I'm just going to divide whatever I get for 50% by 2. And 20 divided by 2 is 10. And now, once you know what 50% and 25% are, if you add them up, you also get 75%. So let's add up 20 plus 10, and you get 30. And so to find 10% of this number, you move the decimal point to the left of the total. So if you move the decimal point to the left of 40, once to the left, you get 4. And to find 5%, you move the decimal point once to the left of 50%. So you get 2. And then to find 1% of any number, you move the decimal point 2 places to the left on 40. So the decimal point on 40 is to the right, and you move to the left twice, so you get 0.4 or 0.4. Now if you look, you're trying to find 30%, and let's see, 30% will be over here, so I'm going to use 10%, and I can multiply that by 3. And so 10% is 4. If I multiply 4 by 3, I can get 12. Or I can simply add up 25% and 5% and get 30% as well. And 10 plus 2 is 12. So there are multiple different ways that you can do this. Whichever way works best for you, you should use. So 30% of 40 is 12. Okay. Now let's move on to the next. Let's see, Beatrice ate 60 apples last month, so I know she ate 60 apples. I'll put apps, even though that doesn't mean apps for the Apple computer. 42 of the apples were red. 42 equal red. What percent of the apples were red? So I'm trying to find a percent that's going to work out. Alright, what percent of the apples were red? Of the apples is going to tell me the total, so I know that 60 is my total. And red is what I'm looking for, 42. So I'm looking how to get to 42. Alright, let's find the landmark percentages of the total 60. Let's go with 100%. See if you can list them all before I say them. Go. Alright, 75%, 50%, 25%, 10%, 5%, and 1%. Alright, remember we're finding all of these percentages of this total 60. 100%, 60. 50% is 60 divided by 2, which is 30. 25% is either the total divided by 4 or half of 50%. So if you divide 60 by 4, you get 15. If you find half of 30, you also get 15. Next, to find 75%, just add up what you get for 50 and 25%. And that is 45. 10% is moving the decimal point 1 place to the left of 100%, so that's 6. 5% is moving the decimal point 1 place to the left of 50%, that's 3. And 1% is moving the decimal point 2 places to the left of 100%, and that is 0.6. Alright, now I'm trying to get to the number 42. If I'm looking here, there's no number here that can get me to 42. But I know that 45 is closer to 42, so I know the answer is close to 75%, but a little bit less than it. So if none of the numbers get you to the number you're looking for, what you're going to do is you're going to use 10%. And is there a multiple of 6 that I can use to get to 42? Yeah, it's the 7th multiple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 10% by 7, and I get 70%. And that's how I find the percent. Answer 70%. So if you're trying to find the percent, use the numbers that you get for finding your percentage. And if you're, in the last question, trying to find the number, use the percentages to get to the number. Okay? All right, and I hope you enjoyed and understand that more clearly.